Yes, this is a Hardcore Grind interview with the dynamic Katherine Y. Jones, author, producer, and radio host. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
I am doing so well. I'm glad you were able to squeeze some time in because I know you be busy. So I'm glad you were able to squeeze some time in to come and chop it up with us on this evening.
I'm pleased that you had time to have me on. We've watched each other over the years, and man, we're still doing it. So I'm happy to be a part.
Yes. Now, you've been in business as far as being a business coach and media professional for over 15 years.
Yes.
And you
coming up
recently
on 16,
did a little check. Yeah. What inspired you to dive into fiction writing?
Well, that's what I wanted to do before podcasting. I actually never imagined I would use my voice doing radio, teaching, nothing like that. I always thought I would be an author. That's always what I wanted to do. So the obstacles I felt were there years ago. I said, well, I'm gonna go an easier route. I'm gonna do something else I can do now. And so I put the writing on hold because it was just too scary. Like, who makes money from this for real? But now we know who does.
And it's funny because when I interviewed you on Let's Chat Radio with me and Miss Tony a few years ago, we told you go ahead on and write that book.
Yes, and I think about that every single time I'm working on these books. And you saw it, and it took me to have to see it, that it was, I actually can do this thing. There were so many things I could do, but I really wanted to write. And so this thing can be what really brings me to life and bring me that life that I want to have. So, yeah, you guys, you said it, and I fought it, but here we are.
Absolutely. Now, as someone who encourages others to follow their dreams, how has your own journey of reinvention shaped your coaching style?
Well, one of the things that consistently come up is I don't care what kind of business you do, there are some things that are just common. You got taxes, you got to figure out if you're going to be online or, there's certain things that's common to business. But when I don't do what I'm teaching other people, that really challenges me because people see it even if we think they don't. So that I have to do what I'm teaching. And in the beginning, it was talking, it was the logic, it was what I could see, but then I was living it. And it really started with my kids. I made a video a few years ago about the children I watch, a real quick video. And my kids say, well, Ma, you go to a job you don't like every day, but you tell us to do what we love. We don't see you doing it, so we don't believe you. So that really shaped everything for me.
I love it. Now, your radio and TV show, This Needs to Be Said, has a loyal audience. What role do you feel media plays in helping individuals pursue their passions?
Oh, that is a good question. Let's think about it right now. I think that art emulates life, so it gives you an example of what's possible, not just what you see on the screen. But since I've been doing TV and radio, I'm looking at cameras, camera angles, lighting, different skin tones of people and how they need to be lighted to look natural and not distorted. It's just, but so that's makeup artists, that's people that are in fashion, TV, media, even the news. You realize that we're not getting all of the news when we listen to mainstream media. I'm in the community. I can give that. So each person through media, whether it's TV, newspaper, magazine, it's an opportunity for each person to have a voice. So I think in having a voice, you're more willing to invest in yourself because you're willing to, live out loud and you see it's possible. Somebody's doing it, so you can too.
I love it. Now, many people find it hard to balance multiple passions. What advice would you give those up-and-coming artists, business men and women, writers that want to change step and do something different in their journey?
A word I thought I had been using wrong because it just sounds fancy. I was actually using it correct. In tandem. When you have to do things in tandem, you have to do them all at once, and there's no compartmentalizing, because your real life, your children, your loved ones, you have to go to work or whatever you have to do, that's still going to be there. So you have to wean yourself off or make room for it, make adjustments. So if you're working 40 hours a week but you want to start a business, well, you're not going to magically get more hours in the week. You have to make an adjustment or you're going to get tired. And your passion doesn't just carry you because you still got to sleep. And self-care is so important. When I started This Needs to Be Said 16 years ago, we were all saying, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Okay. No, 7 years later, I need to sleep now before I die. So self-care became important. People were at an alarming rate with my team were getting divorces, drastic career changes, and it's because we're not, like you said, able to balance those things. So the advice is realize you have to do things at the same time. You're going to have good that happens on the same day you have bad. You're going to have a busy schedule for you, a busy schedule for your kids at the same time. But instead of being upset about it, it's like, how can I do this? How can I do all of these things at once? Because everything seems to be a priority and pressurized, and it's only our perspective of it. Because if we're in business and we got to get these orders out or we got to answer these customers, we see it as a challenge, and we say, we're going to get this done, and they're going to say, this needs to be said is the best, because I see the challenge, as opposed to, oh, I got to do all of this stuff, and I'm overwhelmed. If you look at it as, I can get it all done because, I'm just that amazing, That's the same way you pursue your dreams. You look at it as, I can get it all done, and I understand that some things have to happen at the same time. And Lissha, I can go on with analogies like you play the piano. You don't just play one key at a time. You play a guitar. It's not one string at a time. So things are happening at the same time, So just practice being better, being more, let's say better makes it like there's something worse, but practice knowing, okay, there are certain things that's going to happen. I go on vacation or I take an overnight trip now. I can pack my bag quicker than I could the very first time I did it, because I know that there are certain things that's always going to go in that bag. So I may have to change out a couple of things, but I can bug out quick now. And not because it's life or death, it's because I'm going for fun, but it took practice. Relaxing takes practice. So you have to practice realizing I can get it all done, but it's going to be adjustments. I can't do 8 hours of everything. Something will have to be a couple of hours, maybe something is a couple of minutes. And self-care has to be a priority. If you feel like everything is going nuts in your life, stop. Stop, because you're not going to make it better if you don't stop and tend to yourself. Because then you can be in a fresher mind, and all this stuff I just said that sounded like blah, blah, blah will make more sense because you're taking time out for yourself. So it's practice. I think that's the key.
I love it. Now, a Black woman can write is powerful. What does that power mean to you?
Black? Say it again for me.
A Black woman that writes is powerful. What does that power mean to you?
It's still hard for me to see, so I'm practicing it as I'm telling it to you now. I create this world, and no one can say that world is right or wrong because I create this world, and I can have all kind of characters in this world, and whichever way I want to push my pen, I can create something that people can see. And repeatedly, I've heard people say, I can see this as a TV series or a movie. And I've heard that since I was a kid. So it's like I just did not buy into it. It seems like people who write, it's one in a million. It's not every writer can actually live off of what they put out there. So it's that traditionalism of get a good job so you can pay your bills versus live your dream and turn that into the job that can pay your bills. So that belief that I could make the money was the hard part. But the craft itself, that was the power, but I didn't recognize the power that would equate into the money. So I made that long analogy for you to see. I hope you got it. The writing was there, but I didn't see the power in it, that it would entertain people, that it would be something useful, that it would be something that would start a conversation when people put the book down. I didn't look at this relationship that people build with literature. So it took some practice. And I think, stepping into radio, something I never had an interest in, but it worked out. I could practice because I didn't have anything blocking me. I wasn't thinking, I can't make money with this. It was like, I got to make money with this because I got bills to pay, But I interviewed authors all the time, so my love for writing and reading was always there, pulling me to it. And then when I would talk with you all, when you give me a chance to be on your show, you would always say, you need to go ahead and write that book, but not equating the power. So now I'm finally realizing it is powerful to entertain people and educate them, because while it's fiction, I'm writing about a city I live in, so there are things that are actual, but not the characters and not the scenarios, not with these characters that I've come up with. But you come to Charlotte and maybe you feel like you know Charlotte, North Carolina a little bit better, or you have some of the history that we always talk about because we're so Charlotte, So you can entertain, you can educate, and you can also, those topics that, we talk about, women's liberation, femininity, being okay with our sex, being empowered to talk about it. And it doesn't have to be raunchy. I'm free to talk about being a woman and not worrying about what people think of me because of my unique personality, And then we have to accept that we're so unique sometimes that we're not for everybody, and that bothers us. So dealing with those emotions, because we can really feel that in real life, putting that in fiction is powerful, because now you can put this on a character and you say, well, I can see what she's going through, and maybe that helps you untangle some things that you feel. But it's fiction. I'm not saying that it's the cure, but as long as I've been a reader, and I've been a lifelong reader, it takes me to another place. It opens up my mind to possibilities, and I can go from far-fetched to, yeah, we knew that could happen, but the possibilities are there. But then when I was thinking about the power of just me, Katherine, writing a book that people would buy and become a fan of, for some reason, out of all my belief and cheering other people on, I couldn't believe it for myself. And so now that I am seeing it, it's eye-opening for me every time. And even as I'm talking this out with you now, because we didn't have this question before, so I'm thinking of it as we're talking about it now, and it's like, wow. It's wow. It's almost like I can knock it out of the park without even trying, but it's not true. I've been working on this for a really, really long time, but now it feels effortless because the belief wasn't there. So, so it is powerful.
I love it.
Down, yeah.
Because it's so true. Now, you out here now, right? You got your first book, Moment. The Weekend was the first book. Tell us about the vision behind this project.
Okay. What happened was I'm on newsletters for different writing projects. They'll tell you which magazines they're open to. You submitting your work to them. And I don't pay attention to them all the time. You kind of have certain magazines around, Look Smart. It's kind of that. So if somebody looks over my shoulder, they go, oh, man, she gets the best newsletter. So it's kind of like that energy at first, so very loose, very casual. So this time I opened up the newsletter and said, let me just see what's in here. And somebody wanted a submission for women and women and sexuality. So that was the writing prompt. And so I said, well, I've never submitted. It won't hurt to write it, even if I don't get chosen or whatever. I never did submit to the people. That's how the character Brenda was developed. That's how Moments came, because what I end up writing about repeatedly in this women and sexual freedom kind of thing was moments, because it's not all the time. If a woman is thinking about sex, can't possibly do it all the time. She has to sleep. She has to eat. She does other things. It may be something constant on her mind, but we always make it sound like women with sex is so dirty. How could women think about sex? So this girl, Brenda, she's casual, but she's professional, and she's respected, and she's everything. She's good and she's bad. So that's how it started with a writing prompt. And so the series built on itself after that when I added more characters. And I was like, well, this part can't happen right now. That has to be in a book later on, because I have to write something that's going to build me up to why that scene I just thought of makes sense. And it's just moments of lovemaking, moments of falling out with your sisters, moments of falling out with your parents, moments of falling in love, moments of love triangles. So it's flickers, because the in-between part ain't the moment. You're heartbroken and crying over one moment. Murphy has a wife. What the, you know what I'm saying? So it's that moment that keeps replaying over in your head. So it started with the writing prompt.
I love it. Now, that was book 1, but now you have book 2. What do you want the readers to experience out of book 2? What was the vision behind that motivated you to pen the second book, too?
Yeah, because the second book was supposed to be The Wedding, which is now the third book. So when I finished The Weekend, the reality is everything that happened in that weekend could not be dealt with in that weekend. Even though it's fiction, we got to be a little bit realistic. So everything comes to a head on Sunday at the brunch, and Monday comes. But now we're not on the weekend anymore, so either I got to change the title of this book, or I can have a book that explains the fallout, like every single person, every character, what happened, what was, because it focuses on one character in that during the brunch, but there are more people. There are 6 other people at the table. So what were they thinking? What were they experiencing? What are their backstories? So the fallout, the weekend fallout, it gives me more of a timeline to explain still the weekend.
Okay. Now, you always talk about being resilient. That's what you do speak on that a lot. What do you think the key is to overcoming challenges when you are pursuing such a dynamic vision and passion?
Man. So I'm going to say this. It needs to be said. I'll put it out there. And people may not like to hear this. And it's not a fear thing. Let's just really look at the reality of it. If you want to pursue something, you're going to have to give up some conveniences. I'm not saying you're never going to be able to do these things that you want to do. And one of the things that I gave up 16 years ago was a regular paycheck. They weren't late with my money. They was on time. They had benefits. I could even buy little things around the house. They had some with the school system. You can buy TVs and game systems. Just perks for So there was no reason for me to quit that job. So I get my check. I'm making a pretty good amount of money. I can pay my bills. I'm driving a car. I'm feeding my kids. I quit my job. Okay? That consistency isn't there anymore. I really like that consistency. I really don't like having to explain why I don't have all of the money right now. Why do I need more time? And you may say, well, I'm going to save up enough money and I'm going to be able to be on my feet. Well, when they tell you to save 6 months to 12 months, that's if you know everything you need to know before you step out there. I did not know anything of what I needed to know. Even if I would have started writing books back then, I didn't know enough. And see, I knew what I didn't. I ain't going to say I knew what I didn't know, but I knew I didn't know a lot about books, but I loved it so much. So I picked something else that felt like I could just pick it up and do it. Because just about anything else other than sitting down writing, I could do it. I told myself for years, I don't like the rewriting part. I love it, and sometimes I overdo it now. So it was so many obstacles I imposed on what I thought I knew, but I didn't know what obstacles to put in the way of podcasting. I didn't know how to put the brakes on. I didn't know how to say, wait, I can't do that. I was like, yeah, we could do that. There was no risk there. So the closer you are to a thing, you're more passionate about a business you're about to bring about, there's so much you just may not know. Think about, for us that are parents, think about that first kid. You know, how much did you look back and say, man, if I had known this or that, this could have went smoother, this would have been more efficient. You're going to lose, or you're going to spend or blow through that 6 to 12 months because you not only have living expenses, you don't remember how often you go get coffee, you may go eat lunch with your friends, that you go out on Friday nights. You have to cut those things out now or get creative about how you're going to do that. Okay, I'm going to have to get there before 10 o'clock because it's freezing, because afterwards I'm going to have to pay. You're going to have to realign so many things, and it's going to feel inconvenient, but everything is new because unless you grew up with entrepreneurs in your family, you have a big learning gap for what an entrepreneur's life looks like versus an employee. I'm not saying anything bad about being an employee, but there's so much you don't have to concern yourself with when you're the employee. When you're the entrepreneur, you got to think about things that are down the road that may not be happening now, but your behavior now will contribute to what's going to happen down the road. But guess what? You're a new business owner. You don't know that. So be prepared to hurt your own feelings. Be prepared to be disappointed. Be prepared to make some choices that don't work out well. But you tried. You try again. You don't give up. People aren't going to see the vision all the time. They might see it for a little bit. You may not have the consistent support you need, but you have to make that determination. This is really what I want. I want to see it through. And what I've done for myself is I pick a thing that I've loved no matter what people said, whatever their criticism was, I never gave up. And I didn't realize how many Prince fans was out there, but being a light-skinned, long-haired girl listening to Prince, even in elementary school, was not good for my reputation, but I didn't care. And still, I'm 50 years old now, I don't care. I mean, there's more people that love Prince, but I never, any music he made, I'm always a fan consistently, no matter what he looked like. And people judge you by the things that you like and that you connect yourself with. So if I can love Prince, who never met me, who wouldn't know me, before he passed away, wouldn't know nothing about me, if I can put that much confidence and faith in being a fan of his, I have to put that same in myself to be able to put my words on paper and trust that people will enjoy them. But I also got to be open to criticism. So I know I'm saying a lot, Lissha, shut me up at any point, but there are so many things that can stop you from pursuing being an entrepreneur, because your feelings can get hurt, because it's just not the same as being on someone's job. People don't pay on time. Agreements don't always go through, and sometimes it's your fault, and it hurts, and you look bad. And so can you take being booed sometimes? A lot of times. Can you take being told, well, you don't have enough experience? But how the heck you going to get the experience if don't nobody give you a chance? And that's whether you work on a job or work for yourself. So you got to get started. You got to get the years in. You got to get the tries in, because nobody's ever going to get to know you and believe in your work if you don't do it, even if you don't make money. I'm going to stop for a little bit, but it is so much. It is so much that can stop you from pursuing.
But you said a lot. You said a lot that needed to be said. And I'm glad that you said it. Now, who's been your support system, your biggest support system along the way?
My children. I was a teen mom. I won't say single mom because they had a dad, but I was a teenager and pretty much grew up with my older two sons, and they have been my support system. I have a third son, and he pulled up the end when I started This Needs to Be Said. He stopped at the door one day on his way out to school, and he said, you know what, I like it when I leave to go to school, you're here, and when I come home, you're here. Now, that in itself, it wasn't money, but I achieved a goal. I was available to at least that child, because the older two, I worked all the time because that's what I saw my mom do, and I thought that's what you needed to do in order to make it. You just have to think differently, be creative, and, of course, as we get older, things change and may not be the same price, or the availability may be more. Like we used to have to go to Blockbuster, but now we can stream stuff online. So getting those movies for the kids will be easier now than it was back then. And so I had to think, okay, well, I can't take them to the movies all the time. We're gonna have to rent the tapes, or you just have to think differently. I kind of got lost in my thought there. I'm rambling. Stop me. Sorry.
Didn't say not again stuff. So I'm not going to stop you. But honestly, because you are an avid reader. Now,
yes.
What are some books that have significantly influenced your life and your journey?
Oh, boy. Okay, so religious books, of course. I said of course because everybody don't read everything. The Bible, my try at the Quran, and I keep those things in front of me. Inspirational books, Pima Chandra. There's one guy, Sri. He's with Art of Living, so it's a breathing exercise you do with yoga. So a lot of audio stuff and vibration stuff, frequencies. As far as pleasure reading, I am getting into Octavia. I'm going to tell you now because I got a book right here. We were just reading Kindred. Octavia Butler. So she's a sci-fi. A long time ago, Terry McMillan, I know she still writes, but that was one of my main authors back then, and her sister Rosalind McMillan. Then Ayanna Van Zandt, if anybody remembers her 40 Days and 40 Nights Meditation, that's a good repeatable book. So a variety of books, anything that just has a good storyline. I like going to the bookstore, just reading the back covers of books, and even imagining what the series could be about, because I can't read all of the books, but I love seeing them and smelling them and being around them and seeing what people recommend, and even having, myself a little criticism towards, I don't think they should have chose that book, or nobody should have had, this person shouldn't have had a book made about them. I saw a bunch of them the other day. So it's a variety of books that get my attention because I don't know everything, and the best way to experience everything is to tap into other people's experiences, in my opinion. So, and music inspires me for writing, and it kind of pushes me towards certain books. So some 50 Shades of Grey might be in there. I might be telling my age with Harlequin Temptation. But then it might have some Stephen King kind of stuff in there. So I like all kinds of books, and I want to experience all kinds of storylines because maybe I could use it once, something like that, something I didn't think to write about. Because here's another thing, a side nugget. If whatever you're doing, for me it's writing books, what is next for that book? Is there a series? Is there a TV show? Is there a movie? Is there a play? What's next? You're always, it would always benefit you to be thinking of what's next, because yes, you could sell 1 million copies of your book, but now what? Is that it? Is that the big ta-da? So you're constantly thinking of what's next, and how are you going to do that if you don't get more experiences, unless you want to be redundant. Now, I'm not knocking that. Some people do it, and it works for them. But if you want to diversify how you're thinking, you can gain more audience relationships, because books are relationships to people. So that's that little side nugget I would like people to think about if they want to write books.
Okay. Now, what's next?
Well, Moments is a 10-book series. So we're on book 2 right now. Book 3 is outlined next. And so it's Moments, the Weekend Fallout, and then The Wedding. So for those that are getting caught up, Moments, the Weekend, I said, began with Brenda. But if you read the book, you'll probably going to become a fan of Michelle, because she's a bit devious. So she got some new dirt for book 2, and they come to the end of their sisterhood at the end of the first book. So how are they going to get back together? What is that drama? They didn't tell their parents, and Mama is always on the gossip line. So she want to know what's up. She smell a rat, something's up. So the third book is The Wedding. So if you're following it, you're saying, well, if the sisters fell out, and the parents are talking about getting renewing their vows. How's the wedding going? Who's getting married? So it raises a lot of questions because book one raised a lot of questions. So it gives way to who's going to get married for real, because Brenda's best friend all of a sudden has a fiance. Like, it's just a lot going on, and, you know, and I'll give one thing away. Michelle might get married. She might be walking down the aisles, and she's devious. But then book 4 is called Secret. So, yeah, I'm going to pull at you. I'm going to get you all involved with the fallout. You're definitely going to be on the hook for the wedding because there's a lot that could possibly happen, who could get married, whose wedding could get canceled. It's a lot. But then what are the secrets? Because that'll answer why some of the things happened during the wedding book couldn't take place or did take place. You know what I'm saying? So as I'm writing the outline, I'm moving scenes to another book, and it grew into 10 books. So that's what's next. 10-book series. So it's going to start with a weekend, and it's going to end with a weekend. So that's what I can give you for now. But the sub of each book is what I just shared with your audience, is to make sure that I have a script for a screenplay. And it's the point of entry is being open to independent artists. So to be able to see my movie put with actors on Tubi or Netflix or Prime, any of that would be phenomenal for me. So I would like to see that. I love plays, so writing a script for that. So just having something in the bank. I cannot do it all at once, but what I don't want to have happen is I'm coming up with that idea at the point that the idea is needed, when I can go ahead and flesh it out now. I just may need to fine-tune it when that opportunity opens its door. So it's like money in the bank, you know, money you can't spend, you can't squander it, because it's only for an appointed time. So the 10-book series is what's next, and then the other opportunities, I want to definitely, make sure I have those.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'm excited for you. I'm very proud of you. I can't wait to see what we're going to get in these 10 books. You know that you are always welcome here on Let's Chat. Well, here on Hardcore Grind. You are always welcome on Let's Chat Radio. So anytime you got something that needs said, I'm always here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And you're always welcoming and encouraging to me. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
You are so very welcome. I want you to shout out all your social media handles and where everybody can get your book.
Oh, fantastic. So I've been waiting to say this. You can get my book anywhere books are sold. So purchase it at your favorite online bookstore. You can get it in ebook format or in print. My primary place is Amazon.com. I love that site. My social media is Ms. TNTBS, MSTNTBS, and check out the website, tntbsmedia.com. And I hope that you become a fan soon. Thank you so much, Lissha.
You are so very welcome. I'll talk to you soon.